Welcome back to the Snod Pod with Jon Snodgrass, your mortgage resource, where we're talking real estate, mortgages, and beyond. Today is going to be a Beyond episode. I've got a special guest here, Wauwatosa Pickleball, a.k.a. Doug Sprague. Thanks for coming in. Talk a little pickleball today.
Happy to be here, John.
I'm a huge pickleball fan, and a huge fan of your Instagram account.
Sure.
And so thanks for meeting me a month or so ago and agreeing to come on and talk some pickleball.
You betcha.
So yeah, I guess let's just start with how did you get into pickleball, and I guess a two-part question. When did you get hooked?
Sure. I retired about 2 years ago, and I happened to be in the YMCA in Wauwatosa, and I don't know what I was doing. I was walking around the facility, and I noticed that they were a group of people playing pickleball in the basement there, and I had never watched pickleball on TV. I never really paid much attention to it. I did read articles saying, pickleball is a growing sport, very popular. So I thought, well, I'm going to just go down there and see what's going on. I had played ping pong, racquetball for many years. So I went down there, introduced myself. Very nice lady, Lori, her name was, took me under her wing and said, I'll show you how to play and I'll teach you the rules. It was a bunch of senior citizens, and I was immediately hooked. I told my wife about it. I said, you got to come down and we're going to check this out. And from that day, I fell in love with the game and couldn't get enough of it. It's an addiction.
Yeah, it's a great game. I mean, and what brought me into it too was just like kind of the community that you. It's really a community.
100%.
Players. Yeah.
I think that's one of the reasons why pickleball has become such a popular sport. Is yes, there's competition, there's exercise, but there's also a spirit of community and camaraderie that comes automatically with the culture of the game. And I think for a lot of people, that is the draw that keeps them coming back, is that even though you may not be really good, even though you may not be very athletic, you can have a great time and feel good about the time you're spending and meeting new people while you're playing pickleball.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, I got into it like right out of COVID. I want to say 2022, and just like being kind of where we were all, stuck for a year and a half. It was just so nice to get out and play. And I got a bunch of like dads. I come from a racket sports background, but got a bunch of dads, that I met through my kids, and now we're going. I think this will be 3 or 4 years strong.
So you've been playing longer than me, but when there are people that don't understand it, it's kind of like, here's the thing. I'm a big Bruce Springsteen fan.
Love the boss, yeah.
So you either get it or you don't get it. There
Yeah.
are people that will go to a concert and they just want to hear Dancing in the Dark or Hungry
Sure.
Heart or whatever. But if you're a fan, you understand it and you're really into it. And it's the same thing with pickleball. If you get it and you like it, you're going to get hooked and you're going to continue to play and grow in the sport.
Yeah, I usually get some detractors, but if I can get them on the court, I've not had anybody like not want to come back and play. Usually they start calling me and like, let's play some more. I'm like, well, look, I only got so much time to get away.
Have you faced any resistance from tennis players that are like, I'm not playing that game, it's not for me, or it's childlike, or those types of?
Yeah, there's some tennis players that are like, and I was to a degree like that at first. I mean, I played back in high school.
Right, that's how everybody.
That's
first
how,
plays.
yeah, first
with the wooden paddles.
Yeah, real quick shout out to Mr. Haas. Me and him were
George
pickleball
Haas, sure.
champions. So Mr. Haas, yeah, if you're watching, we got to get you out and playing. But yeah, definitely some resistance. But when I get my tennis friends on the court, they get it, they like it.
Sure.
And for me, like time wise, like I can get out at lunch,
right,
and play. Whereas like I'm so competitive that in tennis, it's like, okay, if we split sets, we got to play a third set. And it's just too time consuming. Whereas with pickleball, we're playing to 11. And it's like we can get in and out in an hour, 90 minutes. And but to answer your question, yes, we got to get some more tennis players to join.
Yeah.
Well, hey, let's jump in, because when we met, kind of our pre-production meeting, and we were talking about, man, Tosa is the one city that doesn't have any dedicated pickleball courts, and this has been like a passion project for you. I've talked with Kyle on it a few times, and
Sure.
you've been trying to get courts, and at the time you're like, we're still pushing, John, and
Yeah.
and then I'm on spring break, I think, and I see Tosa pickleball, and you had some good news, and so tell us a little bit about.
Sure. Well, as I said, I started playing with these seniors, and the Wauwatosa Senior Center is located in Hart Park, in the Mueller Building.
Sure.
They've got, I think, probably 300 or 400 members at the Senior Center there, but they also have a group of about 100 to 120 seniors that play pickleball. And these folks play at Longfellow Middle School, which is about a mile and a half away from the Mueller Building. And I started playing with them, and I was like, guys, why aren't you guys playing at Hart Park? It's 200 yards from your center. And we're like, well, they're not dedicated courts. They're tennis courts that are modified. And I'm like, well, that doesn't make any sense. These seniors are setting up 6 portable nets at Longfellow. There's no shade. There's no drinking fountain. There's no restrooms. And I thought, this just doesn't make any sense. So I went to the city of Wauwatosa, and I'm like, I'm trying to understand. And there's some complications involved. Part of it is that the city owns Hart Park. The school district obviously owns the courts at Longfellow, so they work through the rec department in order to get those courts reserved and used. But I started digging deeper, and I had conversations with Mayor McBride. I've had conversations with the Department of Public Works. And I finally decided, well, let's try and get the ball rolling on getting these courts converted to pickleball. They told me that this is never going to happen. Many people told me that's never going to happen. And the reason being is that Tosa East uses the 12 courts at Hart Park for tennis exclusively.
Sure.
And when they have tournaments, they need all 12 courts. The Department of Public Works told me that if I could convince the athletic director at Tosa East to give up those 4 courts, the 4 upper courts, courts 9 through 12, that they would convert them.
Okay.
And so I had a meeting with him, and he said, no, it's not going to happen. We need these courts.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I didn't give up. I had a fundraiser at Left Lucky Town. We raised about $3,000. The city said that they would set aside $25,000 for the courts if the public would raise the other $25,000. So I thought, well, let's start
Give it a shot.
Start to raise some money, but I came to a dead end. I am not a fundraising kind of guy. I'm not someone that's going to knock on doors or ask, a big company to kick in money. I did appear before the Wauwatosa Village Improvement District last fall and said, hey, look, this is going to benefit the village businesses by having these dedicated courts in the heart of the city, in the village. They did not want to contribute as well. And Chris Leffler, who's the village board president, told me it's because there are too many tennis players on the board. I'm like, okay, that's not a great excuse. But
Right.
Well, lo and behold, the city did decide to kick in the extra $25,000. So there was a $50,000 budget to restripe, resurface, put the nets up. And it's going to take place later on this summer. The bid was the contract was just approved by the Financial Affairs Committee and the Department of Public Works. It goes before the Wauwatosa Common Council next month. Once they rubber stamp it, the courts will start to get resurfaced, and hopefully by August we're going to have dedicated courts there at Hart Park.
So is it all 4 courts, or is it just a couple? And then how many?
If you're familiar with Hart Park, there's 8 courts located closer to the track and to the Mueller Building. And then there's 4 additional courts that are closer to the railroad tracks.
Right.
My goal was to try and get all of those courts converted so that they could have 10 dedicated courts, which to me made the most sense.
Sure.
But again, they weren't willing to give up those other 2 courts. So it's just going to be 2 courts, courts 9 and 10. Those are the courts closest to the softball fields.
Okay.
They're going to be converted to 6 courts. So it's going to be a little bit tight. It's not going to be premium because the courts are not going to be individually fenced.
Oh, they're not. Okay. Is it going to be one fence?
There's going to be one fence running down the middle, 3 courts on one side, 3 courts on the other side.
Okay.
And there's not going to really be what I would consider proper spacing between all the courts. But hey, it's a start.
Hey, yeah.
It's a start. And my hope, John, is that someday, given the popularity of the sport and the fact that it's continuing to grow year after year after year, that Wauwatosa is going to recognize, like many other communities have, that let's build some permanent courts. If not in the village, let's build them somewhere else in Wauwatosa so that residents can enjoy pickleball in their hometown instead of driving. For example, last night I drove to Krieger Park in Brookfield to play.
Love Krieger Park,
Beautiful facility. The city, again, was a combination of city and private funds that got those courts built. I also play out at Lake Country, Northeast Park in Oconomowoc.
Okay.
They have 20 outdoor courts there. The city of Oconomowoc kicked in $500,000 to make those courts happen.
Wow.
And I'm like, gee, if Oconomowoc can kick in $500,000, I think the city of Wauwatosa can dig a little deeper.
Yeah, a little more.
But I also understand that there's other priorities.
Sure.
There's a lot of things that need to be done in every community. And for people that don't play pickleball, they're not interested in having their tax dollars spent on something like that.
Sure. Well, isn't there like a park getting built by like the police station in Tosa?
Yeah.
Like that was one where I thought, or I was talking to my buddy Derek Collins, who I think you maybe played the Pedal Tavern guy.
Sure. Yes, my understanding, and I'm not the expert on this, it's going to be called Firefly Grove Park. I just read an article in a business journal that there's a giant wooden sculpture that's going to go there that is supposedly a tourist attraction. I don't know much about it. People can find out more about it by going online. But it's my understanding it's going to be a ADA compliant park, and there's going to be a lot of activities there for people that maybe don't have full mobility. So, but no pickleball courts there. That would be a great spot.
That would be a good spot. I mean, there's not a whole lot of new space in Tosa.
Right, unfortunately. There are some playgrounds and elementary schools that have open spaces where it could be put in, or possibly tennis courts that could be converted in other parts of the city. But to me, the ideal scenario would be to have them in the village because
walkability to all the restaurants,
100%
shops.
You've got fence court. You have fences there. You've got lighting there already. The courts are open from 8 in the morning till 10 o'clock at night, 7 days a week.
Yeah,
it's ideal.
Yeah,
and the demographic of pickleball, as you know, John, is everything from 8-year-olds to 85-year-olds. There's, as I said, I was playing at Krieger Park yesterday. It was all kids. There were 12-year-olds, 14-year-olds. There were kids playing with their parents. There were parents playing with their grandparents. It was just amazing to see the wide variety of people that were playing.
Last night, I played with my son for about an hour and a half. I was telling you before we went on camera, and he just loves it. And we live on this cul-de-sac. Yeah. And so we got, like the portable net we'll play in our driveway. Well, then another neighbor, the kid came over, and you're younger than my son. He's like, oh, this is fun. They get a net. Then another color, it was just, and they're like, it's so fun. And then I've gotten some of the parents, and it's like, we're just, playing in the cul-de-sac. It's so fun. And my 6-year-old daughter, we played on Monday. Right. 30 minutes.
It's a contagious sport. And my wife now plays, my son plays, my son-in-law plays, and they all just absolutely love it. It's their form of exercise now.
Well, it's like, I'm a runner 3-4 times a week, but as I'm getting older, my knees are hurting. It's just like, I still want to exercise. Sure. And it's like, but I don't want to run. And it's such a good, form of exercise. And for those who aren't big into exercise, I mean, it's such a great thing along, even just like walking, but it's a great sport for that. All right, let's transition now so the game has just exploded, and now popping up, when we got coffee, you invited me to Pickleball Kingdom's opening. I wish I could have made it. I went to Florida for spring break, but first, I guess we got that open. Right. Then we've got the Pickler coming in Menominee Falls as well. Right. And then we've got Ace coming in near where I live, Ruby Isle. Right. Which I'm psyched about. And then I think there's another Pickler going? There's
going to be another Pickler in West Dallas, I think by Cleveland Avenue, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. Highway 100 and Cleveland Avenue. And that's scheduled to open in fall. That's my understanding.
And then what's the one in South Milwaukee? My wife's
Premier Pickleball.
Premier
Club.
Pickleball. Okay.
Right, and that, not to knock them, I think they've done a great job. They were the first facility to open, the first indoor facility to open in our area. But the ceilings are a little bit low there.
Okay,
so
sure.
you unfortunately, that's a bit of a negative.
Yeah.
And I think for people that are really serious about pickleball, that might be a strike against that facility. And for me, it's pretty far to drive. It's a half-hour drive from Wauwatosa, so not a place I'm going to be going any further. But I did go there when they first opened until Pickleball Kingdom opened up.
Got it. Yeah, for the lowest, my new favorite shot is the lob serve.
Okay, yeah.
Just to mix it in.
Absolutely.
And people struggle with it. And then sometimes with my tennis, I can put some pretty wicked top spin on it. And because you can't come in to the net when you're serving until it bounces. So I've been finding that the ball comes a little shorter and I can take advantage of it. So I'm not playing there if they got low ceilings.
Yeah, I think that when you talk about pickleball strategy, I think that's a strategy that a lot of players, mid-level or upper-level players, especially beginners, but mid-level and upper-level players don't always consider, is varying up their serve.
Yeah.
My son, who's I think a very good player, pretty much has the same serve all the time.
Okay.
And I've noticed that if I start out with a top spin serve or a hybrid lob serve, and then go to a speed up serve, it will throw the opponent off.
Yeah.
So it's a good strategy.
I mix it. I'll do a cutter or underspin because like some people it comes and then it goes that way.
Yep.
So I'll mix it up, especially if I'm playing a higher level player. Yeah. But going back to, so we got all these pickleball companies coming in. I guess, do you think it's sustainable to have that many? Or I guess what's your thought on all the companies? I mean,
well,
and is this just a fad?
It's not a fad.
I agree.
And it's going to continue to grow. Again, John, the reason why it's not going to slow down is because the young people have picked it up.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, think about it, it's kind of like the opposite of Facebook. Okay. Facebook started young people, right? Old people like it. And now, to be honest, most older people are on Facebook. The young kids aren't.
Sure.
They're on Snapchat or something else. Well, pickleball started mostly older people playing it. And now it's going the other way, and the young people are into it, and they really think it's cool and hip and fun to play. So my 14-year-old daughter loves to play it too, or 16-year-old, I should say. But getting back to your question, will all of these different facilities be able to sustain? Time will tell. I think the model of paying $80 to $90 a month strictly for pickleball, there's a limited amount of people that are going to do that. I played with a bunch of people at OAW this last winter. The year before, I played at Center Court in Waukesha. They're paying maybe $30 a month to play pickleball.
Yeah.
To leap from 30 to 80 on top of many people paying already a health club membership.
Right.
It can get a little bit pricey.
Sure.
The great news about pickleball, though, is the equipment doesn't cost a lot of money. It doesn't cost a lot of money if you are once you're joining a club, you're not paying for court time.
Yeah.
But in answer to your question, only time will tell whether all of these different facilities are going to be able to sustain and become profitable. I think it might be tight. I think it's going to be a survival of the fittest type situation.
Yeah.
But who knows?
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to find out what's going to differentiate the different franchise models from one another. For example, Pickleball Kingdom, in addition to having 17 courts, they also have a lounge area. So someone could have a pickleball team meeting and then have a presentation after or before. They also have a full-service bar. They do not have locker rooms. So the pickler, on the other hand, is going to have locker rooms. So for some people, playing pickleball and then going to work, so taking a shower and going to work,
that's kind
is
of a
an
big
option.
deal.
So, but and I think you're also going to find that the elite players, the 4.0, the 4.5 players, the 5.0 players, are going to gravitate to one particular facility. They don't. In my experience, there are certain levels of players at that elite level that only want to play with elite players.
Okay.
There are other players that are like, hey, I don't care. I'll play with anybody. I was playing with some people last night that were literally beginners, but I didn't care. I just wanted to hit a ball around for an hour, and it didn't matter to me. But for other players, that's important. If they're dedicating an hour and a half for pickleball, they want to play competitive games.
Yeah.
And they're probably going to gravitate to the facility that appeals to those higher level players.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of the mindset of you. Like, I like to play like high level, but at the same time, I like to play with anybody. I like to be, I feel like you're like a pickleball ambassador, and like to a degree, like I try to be too. Like, I want more people to play.
Right.
Partly selfishly, just so I have more people to play with when I call somebody, I can't,
Right. Well, and that's one of the most beautiful parts of the game, in my opinion, John, is that unless you're a complete doofus, no, in all seriousness,
I just love that word. Sorry.
Well, no, unless you really have very little physical or hand-eye coordination, you can. With a little bit of practice, you can play the game.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
You may not be very good at it, but at least you can get the ball over the net and maintain, or at least participate in the game.
Yeah.
It's like playing cornhole. Almost anybody can do it.
Yeah.
So I think that's really the key is that if you can if you've got some physical ability, that you can learn the game.
Totally. My wife threw me a 40th kind of surprise. I ended up finding out about it, but pickleball party. We belonged to the Brookfield Elite, and then we had a pro for 30 minutes. We did a lesson for everybody, and so my aunts and uncles were there in their 60s and 70s, and they were like, I don't know. And my mother-in-law, she's 70s, and everybody had such a blast. And then same thing, my kids and everybody, friends. And
I think that may be the future of or the future kids party for the 12 to 16-year-old.
Yeah.
Instead of the jump around place or the, Chuck E. Cheese, it used to be Chuck E. Cheese's or whatever, is getting a group of teenagers and saying, hey, we're going to run a couple of courts, and then we're going to bring pizza in and soda and have fun afterwards. But like I said, a fun date night. I mean, a fun thing to do with other couples.
Well, to piggyback on that, every now and then we get to go out to eat. My wife and I, it's with some friends, and so what we've chosen sometimes is like, hey, instead of doing that, let's go to the Brookfield Elite, or let's go to Ray Park down the street. And let's instead of going to dinner, let's play pickleball. Let's have the babysitter there for 2 hours.
A cooler and some sandwiches
we'll have a few
or beers
drinks
or whatever.
And let's play pickleball. And don't get me wrong, I like going out to eat, but
there's a few people out at the Lake Country Pickleball Club that get together on Fridays, and they call it Drinkable.
Drinkable, I love it.
They bring coolers, and I don't know what time they start. I don't know if they play a few games first, but the alcoholic beverages is part of the experience for this group.
Oh man, I love it. Well, one of the you've taught a little pickleball too. Can you tell me a little bit about that and
sure.
who's your target market, if you will?
Sure. I decided when I started holding free beginners clinics last year at Hart Park, and I thought, if I'm going to do this, I want to have some credibility to it. I don't want to just be the guy that is going to show people how to play. I want to have some sort of credential involved. So,
sure.
Several different organizations that are endorsed by USA Pickleball that will get you a certification to become a pickleball instructor. So I went through one called Pickleball Coaches International online course. Probably took me about 2 or 3 weeks to complete. And it involves not only learning, obviously, the rules, but the techniques, being able to instruct drills. And it also involves getting a video of your demonstration techniques. So I had to recruit some relatives to come and record me showing them how to do this, how to do that. And then after those videos are reviewed, you become certified.
Okay.
And I started doing these free beginner clinics. I would although they were free, I would ask people for a donation to the Tosa Pickleball Fund
nice,
so that they could donate to get the pickleball courts built at Hart Park. So I did that. I probably did about a half a dozen of those last year, usually groups of 6 to 8. 75 minutes, just starting with the basics, scoring, court positioning, etiquette, and basic strategy and drills. And then after that, I started doing some beginner lessons. Now, I'm not a high-level player. I'm maybe a 3.5, 3.75 on a good day, but I'm not a great player. I'm an okay player, but I love the game and I love teaching it to people, and I can help people at least get started in the game. But what I tell people is if you're a tournament-ready player, if you're ready to play a tournament, I'm not your guy. You need to talk to a level 2 or level 3 pickleball coach who's going to take you to that level. I'm not strong enough in my skills that I feel like I can demonstrate to somebody who might be tournament ready.
Okay. Now, I think you're being a little modest. My friend Derek Collins, the Pedal Tavern guy, said he's played with you. Says you're pretty mean southpaw.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, left-handedness in pickleball is a strong advantage. It's a super advantage because people are not used to playing against left-handers. Now, I've been playing at Pickleball Kingdom now for a few weeks since they've opened, and there's only maybe 3 or 4 other lefties there. So it's pretty rare that I'm playing with a lefty as a partner. And you know what stacking is?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a very common strategy when you're playing lefty-righty. Is the lefty stays on the right side of the court
to keep the forehands in the middle.
Keep the forehands in the middle.
Yeah.
My son and I started doing it probably about 2 or 3 months ago, and I've adapted to doing that quite a bit when I'm playing with a stronger right-handed.
Well, plus
player.
it throws people a little bit.
It sure does.
It throws me.
It confuses people, and the challenge obviously is keeping score.
Right.
Remember what side
Wait,
you're
what
on.
side was that?
It can get a little bit confusing, and you also get the puzzled looks from your opponents because they're like, "Wait a minute, no, you were just over there. No, we're on the right side." It just takes a little while to get used to.
Yeah. Well, this has been great. I guess maybe I had a bunch of questions here we didn't even get to, but I just thought some fun questions. I guess any, I don't know, favorite shot or the lob serve or.
I don't really have a favorite shot. I feel like my biggest challenge when I'm playing pickleball is that my shot selections aren't always great. I have a tendency to hit harder rather than focusing on placement. I think that's a big problem for a lot of players.
Sure, yeah, and getting that dink is
right. I read somewhere that you should never hit at 100%. You should focus on 70% strength, and I think that's a good tip for people to know. But keeping the ball in play is the most important thing. That's what I tell the beginners is focus on keeping the ball in play. Don't focus on trying to end the point or be a hero.
Yeah.
Focus on letting the other team make the mistake. Keep the ball in play. Get it over the net. The net always ends the point.
Yeah.
So if you can keep the ball in play, keep the ball over the net, keep it in bounds, let the other team make the mistake, it's going to make for a much more enjoyable game.
Totally. And I've even read stats that whoever speeds up the ball, when you're dinking, typically will lose the point. I don't know if that's a fact or not. But,
I don't know if that's a fact. I think that when you speed up, you do have to be prepared for the ball coming back at you fast.
Right.
And I think that's where people make the mistake is they see that opportunity for a speed up, they hit it, and then they're not prepared for the ball coming back, or their partner is not prepared for the ball to come back.
Right. Yeah, you got to be ready.
And that's the same thing with a third shot drop versus a third shot drive. Is that if you're going to go third shot drive all the time, that ball might be coming back fast to your partner, and they may not be prepared for it. So that's a communication issue.
And consider wearing, a lot of the people that I play with will wear eye protection.
You know what? I'm glad you brought that up because I think that's one of the biggest misses right now is there's not enough focus on eye protection.
Yeah.
I wear glasses all the time, but I see so many players that are at, and it's to be honest, it's the most dangerous at the beginner level because the beginners don't typically have the control of the paddle. They don't have the control of where the ball's going, and they're swinging. Instead of taking a small swing, they're taking a big, hefty swing at something, and that ball's going to hit you sometimes. It's going to hit you in the face, and injuries are part of the sport.
Yeah.
But to get popped in the eye by a ball does not feel good.
Yeah.
And I got hit the other day on my hand, and it actually drew blood.
Right.
And so
Right.
if that ball would have hit me in the face
Yeah.
or hit me in the eye, it could have done some serious damage. So I think, I try not to ever give advice to people on the court. If someone asks me for advice, or if they say, hey, do you see anything I could improve on? I'm happy to give it to them. But I stay away from providing advice unless asked for.
Yeah.
But I will tell somebody at the end of the game, if I'm playing with somebody and I see them take a shot to the face, I will say, hey, have you thought about eye protection?
Yeah.
Because it's, to me, for someone to lose an eye or to have their vision impaired by a pickleball would just a bad scenario. When we talk about safety, the other issue is I think that a lot of people don't understand that you should really have court shoes when you're playing pickleball.
Sure.
A lot of people get on the court with running shoes or just tennis shoes or whatever.
Yeah.
You're moving in a different direction. With pickleball, you're moving side to side very frequently, and you're moving laterally, but you're not going in a straight line like you would in many other sports. So having court shoes, I think, is important. And then while we're talking about safety, the other thing I think is stretching.
I was going to say, I have to stretch. If I don't stretch afterwards, I'm a wreck.
Well, you're putting yourself
you're
putting yourself in a tough position of getting hurt without stretching before, and especially your calf muscles. Mm-hmm. So you should spend at least 3 or 4 minutes before you start each
before
session.
Before
and after too,
I would
for sure.
Yeah.
And of course, stay hydrated.
Yeah. Maybe the last one, or maybe 2 more. Have you done any like pickleball vacations or gone to like a pickleball tourney outside the state?
No, my wife and I took a vacation last year to Steamboat, Colorado, and we brought our paddles because I knew we were going to have some time to play.
Yeah.
And we found a facility, and it was so welcoming. They're like, well, you're supposed to be a member to play here, but if you pay a $10 fee, you can drop in or whatever. Met some great people. I played 2 out of the 3 days that we were there, and just met great people and had a great time. But I haven't taken any kind of like pickleball specific vacations.
Okay.
I play enough here. I don't think I want to. It doesn't appeal to me. I think that's a thing of the future, to be honest.
Yeah, well, like I've some friends that play. Like one of my friends is like a 5-0, and he's won 5-0 national tournaments, singles and doubles.
Okay.
Tosis guy, Chris Heavner.
Okay.
I played doubles with him in high school. But he goes to Naples, which I think is maybe
the
like
capital.
the capital, and which is, I've never been to Naples, but South Florida sounds, would be great to go. And he goes in like January.
Okay.
But he just has told me that he goes with a group of guys. He's invited me. I just never have done it, but that's one that I'd like to get down. I've heard it's a cool facility.
Yeah.
I guess last one, and then we'll wrap it up.
Sure.
Anybody that's hesitant to get out there and play, what do you say to them?
I would say give it a shot. You don't. The beauty of pickleball, John, is that there is not a big investment going forward to start the game.
Yeah.
You can go to Amazon, and for $50 you can get 4 paddles, some balls. For another $75 to $100 you can buy a portable net. Yeah. Get the paddles and the balls. Watch a couple of YouTube videos to learn the basics of the game. And just get on the court. There's public courts everywhere now, and just get out there and play. And if you just have 2 of you, you can still practice hitting the ball over the net and getting some basics done. But don't be afraid to go up to somebody else and say, hey, do you guys mind if we play with you, or do you mind if we filter in here? My suggestion in that situation is watch the play first.
Sure.
See who's playing. If they're 4.0 players, they aren't going to want to play with you, and you are going to become an annoyance. But if they look like they're beginners, it's a perfect opportunity. Just go up there and say, hey, I'm Doug. This is John. Yeah. We're just learning. Would you guys mind hitting the ball around with us? Yeah. That's the beauty of this game. Is it's friendly. It's nice. Yeah. People are going to be like, yeah, come on over. You're going to make friends, and you might see them at the park the next week and be like, hey, we played with you guys last week. Let's play again. Right. Share numbers, and now you got someone to drill with or someone to play with.
Such a welcoming sport. I've been at Kruger Park where somebody's up there just hitting serves and like, hey, can I jump in? Oh yeah, we'll rotate even if we've got 4. Yeah. So such a fun sport. But Doug, this has been awesome. Sure. Appreciate you coming in and talking some pickleball. We'll wrap it up. This is Jon Snodgrass, your mortgage resource, where we're talking real estate, mortgages, and beyond. This has been a Beyond episode, talking some pickleball with Tosa Pickleball. Oh, yeah, what's your handle on Instagram?
At Tosa Pickleball.
At Tosa Pickleball. Check it out. He's got great content. That's all. I got hooked and got him in here to come and chat with me. Thanks for watching, everybody.